More parts for our VB WRX. We got in the GrimSpeed airbox intake pipe. Still gotta unpack it, but essentially got a couple nice couplers in here. Essentially it just replaces the pipe going from the turbo inlet to the airbox, stock airbox. What I thought was cool about this is it's got these little tabs in here that match up with the factory tabs on the inlet, and you can see one here on the airbox. So I thought that was kind of neat. Probably doesn't mean that much difference, but anyway, we gotta get this guy out. You can almost kind of see it down there. But what we're gonna have to do is pop off, at the very least, this panel. I think there's a pop clip somewhere. It's either this one or this one. I gotta take a more detailed look. It's probably this one. And I think that flaps down for you to be able to get to the fog lights. Maybe you gotta get this one too. We'll see how much access. I don't think it's gonna be enough because turbo inlet's more under here, so we may be able to, we have to drop this down and the skid plate under it. I think these are probably 10 mil bolts, but mostly pop clips and 10 mil bolts. And we'll get that off and demate the turbo inlet. Yeah, get that factory pipe out. I think there's a bolt that holds the pipe into, mounted to one of the frame supports. So there's a few things you gotta do to get this panel free. You may not have to pop this corner. I popped that guy. There's one. Where the heck is it? There's one. Light's right in the way. There's one right here. There's one back here. Screw here. Pop clip. Sorry, on the front. Another one on the front. So that total. Then you can get this guy kind of leaning down. You can see the turbo inlet right there. I'm gonna get my light up in there. But yeah, there's your turbo inlet pipe. Here's one of the brackets you gotta take out, but you've actually got to disconnect it for the GrimSpeed further up in here. So I'm gonna at least partially remove this panel. We'll see if we have to take the skid plate off. Okay, so we got clips all over this goofy thing to take it out. We got half of it off, and now we can get to the clamp we want to get to. So you don't need to take the skid plate off. I'm gonna go with the side where you can actually see the hardware, because I don't think you need to take more than halfway, maybe a little closer to half off, but okay. So you kind of got your regular style pop clips in these places. Right in here, we've got 12 millimeter bolts. And what's really odd is you get further back, you end up running into a totally different type of pop clip. So you've got this style further back. It's kind of odd. Like up front, you got this style, which kind of has 4 points to pop it, and then you come back to these that only have 2 points. They're slightly smaller, so I'm not really sure why. So you got a bunch of those, and there's one up in here, probably not getting it in the view, but let's see if we can get a little further up. There's one up in here that holds this tray on. So I ended up taking about half of them out, and the panel dropped pretty nice and gave me access. I don't want to take them all out because it's extra work. And I need the other side as a guide for which ones of these goofy things I use for which place. So anyway, you know, mileage may vary as far as how many you need to take, but yeah, so bright light, there's, here up in the corner is kind of what I was talking about. There's this guy right here that makes you think you got to pop it. You don't need to pop this really flat one, but you need to get the one up above. And that'll clear this corner. And there's one little one back there. And then we got the ones on the front and the bolts. So that gives you access to the inlet clamp, that little mount back there. So we'll free this guy up. They're probably, I want to say the clamps are probably 7 millimeter. 7 or 8. I think aftermarket it's 8. These are 7. Let's see. This is 7 mil. Nope, that may be 8. airbox up top. Nut for this bracket is a 10 millimeter. So now we're gonna go up top. We gotta disconnect the battery. So we're gonna pop the MAF sensor. I guess you technically don't have to, but better safe than sorry. Oh, the light's blinding right in there. Let's block that out. So you're gonna take, let me figure out what size that is. It's probably 10 millimeter. Let's see. Yeah, so these bolts here, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter. There's one under there. But I guess it's 10 millimeter as well. Drop the socket. Yep, that's 10 millimeters as well. So we're gonna first loosen this clamp, 8 millimeter. Pop this connection for the MAF. We don't need to take the sensor out because we're keeping the stock air box. Pop the MAF connection. We're probably gonna have to put some needle nose in here. Just push this guy back on that little wire holder so we have some room to work. And pull the air box just so we have better access to that hose. The air box is out. So it was a 10 mil here, 2 10 mils down here. Pipe is free. So we're gonna go ahead, loosen them up from the inlet down here. And hopefully it should come out. Let's see. It's a little warm. I'm just waiting to smack my hand into something down here. Make sure there's nothing on it. I have to get another hand to wiggle this sucker off because it's never been off before. So I'm gonna put down the camera, get that guy off, and just pull it through the top. Got the hose pop free down here. Took a little bit of doing. Actually, you can almost see it. It looks like it may even be a little bit. See if I can get my hand out of the way. Okay, no, it looks like there may be a little bit of material melted on there. Or, I don't know. Stuck on pretty decent. But just had to get some gloves on because of the heat. And here's your pipe. It felt pretty loose. So I think we should be able to pull this guy out. The clamp may fall off because of how I have it. Yep, there it goes. Had the lower clamp pretty loose, so it just fell off. Snake this guy out. And here we go. That's the factory one. It's not too bad. I'm not sure if this pipe's gonna make a whole bit of difference because it's a pretty decent diameter. I'm not sure if this is for sound cancellation or for other models that have some kind of port or something on there. But yeah, we'll get rid of this bend. So I gotta unwrap this, but this pipe is pretty, there's a bracket on this, so this pipe's gonna sit kind of like that. And then we got this nicer hose here, goes this way. It's gonna replicate that part. And an elbow up top. So should be a little smoother. We'll get rid of this kink and all the corrugated stuff. Here's a little better idea of what you're looking at. So smooth it out a bit, bigger diameter. Probably again won't make a huge difference, but you kind of see in this guy, it doesn't neck down the same. So you're probably picking up, I don't know, 1/2 inch in diameter maybe. Oh, what the heck. It matches, not directly matches, but you know, it fits in with the cob pipe ETS air cooler. So didn't really want to go with a larger intake yet. Because I still want to be able to run dry filters. I'm running AEM. I also have an AFE that I'm going to try, but dry filters, I believe, get a little bit better filtration than the K&Ns, and you also don't have to oil it. So I think it's a win-win. It's a good compromise between a factory filter and a K&N. Better filtration, easier maintenance, and no oil into your sensors. So you've got 4 clamps for this system. One ginormous one, which is for the elbow section that goes into the airbox. And then you've got 3 all the same size, and that's for the remainder of the turbo side, and then the elbow to the pipe. So I think I'm gonna roughly put this thing together and pop it in. Still debating. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna put the couplers on roughly Not a scratch? Ah, it came with a scratch. I think it's just the brake. Yeah, one thing I noticed I'm gonna point out right now, I actually sent one set back. I asked them, is it normal for it to be slightly out of round? They really didn't have a yes or no, so they told me to warranty it, and the one I got back is identical, so I think it's normal, just kind of the way they do the mandrel bend, and I lost like 4 days. So if yours is a little out of round, I think it's normal. So we got our clamp super loose, and we're gonna kind of install it like this. Looks like we've got a fairly pronounced stop on here for the pipe, very pronounced on the turbo, and pretty pronounced on the gearbox. So just ran them in roughly, and we'll have to twist them around to get it all to line up right. All right, so we got it in. We're gonna do a little fit check. Got this guy kind of parallel with the fender. Got this guy in to the turbo inlet. See if I can get the clamp out of the way to see it. I got the tab, and the light's just gonna get in the way. It's hard to see, but the little notch is tabbed in there. You can see it now. There we go. Little notch is tabbed in. Kind of lightly tightened the bracket in. And then we're gonna get the air box in, not tighten it up, but fit check it to get the angle of that pipe right before we tighten down the hose clamp on the 90 degree, because it's going to be fun to get to after that. So we'll get this guy fit check first. Top all test fitted up. This guy's tightened in now on the inlet. Actually, you have to use the video to even see. There's my pipe. Hose clamp. I don't even know if I can see where that tab is even in the video. There it is. It's really hard to get a good view of it from this angle. So maybe it would be easier if the skid plate was off. A little bit of a light to see if I cleared it. Wow, that's real hard to see. Let's try it like this. Nope, not enough distance. Bummer. Yeah, skid plate's directly in the way. I'm a little worried. I think I can just barely see it there, but I'm a little concerned that I'll flip the camera around this way. A little concerned that I may not have got enough clamp. Darn, that is really hard to get to. Yeah, it almost looks like the clamp is in that slot a little bit, so I'm going to see what the pipe is. So we moved our clamp around to have the, I don't know what you want to call it, the worm gear side of it a little more in. Biggest thing I want to make sure is it doesn't collide with anything, and we're looking real clear in there. We got it pretty even. Just a little bit off that tab, which I think lines up pretty good with the factory pipe. So there's a little bit of room there. We may be slightly further off, but also you can kind of see the clamp. It's hard to get to focus, but you can kind of see the clamp rested a little back from there. So I think we're very close to where it was factory, about as close as we're gonna get, like this. So yeah, that guy's finally tight. We're still kind of doing the fit. I got that nut tightened up pretty much, so the pipe will all be in place. I think I'll tighten that lower one. Got the air box kind of fitted temporarily. We can see we got it butted up against it, so it's probably a little more work to do a fit check with the air box back in, but I just want to get it all square and do it once. 2 clamps down. 1 to go. To get that one, we gotta pull the fit check air box out. Go ahead and pull this bad boy out, and go ahead and let's check it, make sure it's flush. Yeah, nice. This should be fit up real good. Okay, here's a view of how the pipe looks when everything's fitted up proper. So I'm gonna go ahead and check to make sure it feels like it's, yeah, hose is in there pretty good. I can feel the lip right there. So that's all good. We'll grab our clamp up from down here, tighten it down, and I don't know, move on to put the air box in, button it down, and Gosh, hopefully we'll be done with this thing. Kind of see down there where that clamp lined up really good. That big bright light shining in. But yeah, it's fitting up pretty good. Got all our clamps tightened down. Ran through them a couple times to make sure the silicone was smushed in. So yeah, guys, good. So now we're gonna pop the big ring on. Actually, I'm gonna do that now so I don't forget. I want to orient the nut or the worm gear side so you can actually get to it with the air box in. Put this MAF connector back here so I don't smush it. And we're gonna put our air box back in. Don't forget to tighten up that bracket nut while you're down there. Okay, so air box in. Okay, we got the air box tightened back down. One thing to note, with this pipe in there and the extra diameter and stiffness, you can't push it all the way back. Well, all the way back doesn't allow you to easily get this side of the lid in to change your filter. So you're likely going to need to just pull these 3 bolts when you go to change your filter and take the whole assembly out. I think it'll be a lot easier and a lot less likely to tear your filter up. So that's just a word of advice. You could probably get it, you could probably fight it, force it in, but you may damage your seals and you may damage your filter in the process. So I just recommend taking those 3 10s out, loose a new clamp, pop off your MAF, and just pull the box out. I think it's going to be a lot easier for you when you change your filter. Also, I'm not going to put this clip all the way back in, kind of resting it in there. That connector's plenty fine where it is, and if I ever take it off again, I don't want to screw around with it. It's a pain to get it out. So get your connector back on, check your tightness, and put the snorkel back on and the under panel, and we're done. Okay, all buttoned up. It is pouring rain outside, so we'll test it out tomorrow, but make sure your clamps are all good. Batteries reconnected, and yep. Took a little bit of time, but I was also being a perfectionist, so I think it's probably an hour job if you don't take your sweet time. It took me about 2.5, so I took my time, but we'll see how it runs. I'm sure it won't make much of a difference, but my tune that I have in here from Boosted Performance, which so far out of Boost Control Performance, PRE, and now I have this Boost Control, Boosted Performance is what I got right now, Graham. It's the best right now so far. Boosted Control Force is really good too. Didn't really have any knock. This one really doesn't have any knock, but this is much more torquey, still without knock, a little more power. I think it's right on the edge of like the perfect tune. Boost Control Performance is a little, say, conservative, and PRE had not a crazy amount of knock, but too much. So I would recommend Boosted Performance so far. And that's it.